art is not covered and not written about enough. How do we increase media coverage? And then for our arts writers, what can we do to help you write about us more?
Let me answer that first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I actually think, interestingly, I think, let's go back to the academy again, because I think the universities here could play a role in this. And what I mean by that is that, I'm one person, I can write so much. In fact, I probably write a little less about art now because I have 2 beats of paper, which is a byproduct of some of the problems in media right now, although I'm enjoying myself being the books editor too, but it does divide your time. But one of the things that I've been fascinated by is that although I know that with UCSD in particular, and probably SDSU as well, there are people coming out of there who probably could write pretty well about art, who could make that leap. That you rarely see anybody try to approach the art magazines to do some writing. I get asked, by multiple magazines sometimes to do stuff, and I don't have time to do it, so I have to tell them I have to beg off and not do it. But if there were other writers I could recommend here who I know are serious about doing art criticism, I could recommend them. But it seems like part of the problem is that people in universities, it's almost like they feel like they're just going to go on to grad school or they're going to move off to somewhere else, so maybe they don't want to write about art in San Diego. And yet I think that would help build the scene here if there was more representation in the art magazines.
Yeah. Well, we probably need more art magazines, right? We just lost India, the City Feed arts and culture editor. She's moving out. We're getting music editor to take her place. There's not that many outlets for.
Well, but I'm thinking national outlets more. I'm thinking Art News. I'm thinking Art Forum. I'm thinking more of America. I think the interest is probably there if there were people who were interested, maybe, and had all maybe gathered, had some couple of clips they could show that they can actually do it. So I just throw that out as an idea that would help the San Diego scene.
Billy Joe, how do we get more on your?
Well, first thing you got to know about the media is that you got to get our attention, and you can't beg for coverage. You have to compel it. You have to do something that requires coverage. It's just as simple as that. I mean, you don't go, oh, can I please fit into the newspaper? Can I please be interviewed? No. You've got to do something that compels coverage. If you can't do it yourself, and I understand that a lot of artists would rather be in their studio making music, making art, and they don't want to go through the time and trouble taking care of that nasty business. But all the great artists that we know about, Salvador Dali, Andy Warhol, the ones that are secondhand names to everybody, not necessarily the best artists, but the ones who are secondhand, or known on a first-name basis by everybody in the world, they knew how to compel media coverage. If you're not a Warhol, if you're not a Salvador Dali, hire a press agent.
Do we have any press agents?
I think you had a question.
Well, let's see. Let's continue. Sorry, I lost track.
Don't you think Kevin has something?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, he's over there, that's why.
I think if you, just a couple quick comments. I think if you, here in San Diego, if you still keep on looking at what's being done here art-wise as entertainment and not a value, none of this is going to happen. More galleries, more publications writing about it, more coverage, more media, more collectors, more everything. I disagree with Ben there. I used to believe that just making great art was enough. It is, but artists today have a much larger responsibility now to not just work in the studio, but they have to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, be much more proactive, get out there and make things happen. I'm sorry, but making artwork just doesn't cut it anymore. You've got, it's just the way the world is running. The criticism issue is huge here. It's a very big problem in San Diego. Why there isn't more? Because newspapers are dwindling, economic times, not appealing to a certain genre of people. City Beat is a very tough newspaper. I personally feel they have a moral, ethical responsibility to cover the arts every week here in San Diego. That's their job. They need to do it. They suck it up. They take bigger publicity accounts, but they provide a consistent column every week where there's reviews going on of art. The reader should do that as well. Magazines, why isn't Art Forum, Art LTD, Art in America covering more San Diego? Robert probably answered some of that. My answer, how do you increase that media? Coagula is an example of what can be easily done in San Diego, given that people want to do that. More people should be writing about art here. And artists should be giving each other shit about what they're doing. You guys really got to be tough on each other. So while I agree with Patricia that there is that vacuum to make, do whatever you want, no one's looking, there's a plus side to that, there's a downside to that. So if you're not out there creating some sort of level of competition or holding each other's feet to the fire, it's not going to happen. It's not going to generate that interest you're all craving for. Don't depend on critics, galleries, collectors, museums to do the job. You as artists...
Make work in your studio. Make
no,
good work.
It's more than that. It's more than
It's
that.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Did Roger make good work? And he never got discovered until he died. He sat in his studio and that's all he did was make good work.
There's always an example.
Who's the example?
We're gonna continue with the panel for this question first, then we'll get to you guys. Hold on.
Okay, I think it.